Daniel, kick us off, man.
Perfect. Alex, thank you again for the floor, the amazing community that you've built and letting me be a part of it. It's nice to have people actually willing to listen to the content that I want to spew. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. Today covering selling strategy specifically aimed at agencies working with software companies, but hopefully either side of the aisle can learn a little bit through the session. There's going to be a teeny amount of shameless reveal plugging in the session, not too much, but the majority of it's going to be structures, frameworks, and ways about thinking about co-selling. So, quick introduction to me. So I'm Dan. I'm the Global Senior Director. I had to look at my job title there to make sure I knew what it was, but I am the Global Senior Director of Partnerships at Reveal. So I'm building relationships with various partner tech companies, sales tech companies, martech companies, agencies, solutions partners, various different businesses out there to make the Reveal product stronger and better and allow us to go to market more effectively. Prior to joining Reveal, I was actually a Reveal customer myself at a company called Metric. So we use that to manage our cloud agency and tech alliances. Prior to that, I worked at a company called Braze, who IPO'd last year for, I think it was about 6 billion, and I ran their EMEA agency program there. So I learned a lot of wrong ways of co-selling, but also some right ways of co-selling on the way. And then prior to that, I worked at a media agency called Mediacom. For those of you who don't know it, it's part of the WPP umbrella, one of the largest agency holding groups in the world. And I ran the Walgreens Boots Alliance account, which transcends the US and the UK. So either side of the Atlantic will know about that brand. And I ran their 60 million pound media spend across companies like Facebook and Google and the Trade Desk. So all of these interesting go-to-market partnerships of like, how do we make our media sweat harder, work harder, and how do we invest in the right partners to make that budget go further? So that's me. I think that's the only bit of self-promotion I'm doing, and we'll kind of move on to the crux of today's session. So how do we go to market with partners? So there's 3 vectors of go-to-market partnerships that I look at. The very, very first one on the left-hand side is reselling. So this is where you as an agency or a solutions partner, you are essentially selling a third-party software on behalf of that brand, and that brand's not even kind of getting involved at all. So you're doing the contracting, you're doing the processes of payment, you're handling all the terms, you're probably handling some support in there as well, like all of that stuff bucketed in. And that's, one of the oldest ways of doing business. Like a brand like Coca-Cola really is direct consumer. They rely on resellers and stuff like that in the market to push their brand out. On the right-hand side of the coin is the referral model. So that is you as an agency are referring a piece of business to one of your software partners that you're working with, and then they do everything else. They do the demos, they do the sale, they close the deal, they map a customer success team to it and all that sort of stuff. And rarely the agency is getting involved in any of the services. I'm a big believer that this referral model isn't like a true partnerships model. I think of it more like an affiliate program. And, I'm seeing more and more agencies trying to move from that referral basis towards the co-sell motion. So this nice middle ground, which I've aptly placed here, is the co-sell space. So you, as an agency, you are co-selling alongside the partner to close a piece of business with an end customer. But you're both mutually working together to win a piece of business. Both companies, deal is on the line. It's a really interesting outcome you can have from a co-sell motion. In a resell motion, both partners can win and both partners can lose. But in co-sell, you might have one partner, the client really likes their solution, so they buy that, but they don't buy the other part of the co-sell motion instead. Like, it's a really strange dynamic, but we'll get onto that a little bit later down the line. In terms of probably the best definition I found of co-selling is co-selling is a modern partnering process where 2 or more peer-level partners, really critical thing here, 2 or more. When I was at Braze, we used to partner with like a CDP, an analytics partner, and an agency to go to market to customers. There's like 4 solutions selling into a business at one time, and we often call those like cloud transformation projects. So it can be 2 or more partners, but really like start simple and just start with you as an agency and then a SaaS vendor on the side that you're looking to go to market with. with complementary offerings, and complementary being the key word. If you look at a software company as a jigsaw puzzle, there's going to be some missing pieces in that jigsaw puzzle. There'll be like maybe some products that aren't there. Maybe there's some local language support they don't have. Maybe there's some service offerings they don't have. And then you as an agency, you're trying to fill those missing jigsaw puzzles with your offering. So that's the complementary piece. Come together to provide a holistic solution to a shared customer need, and then work collaboratively to sell together. So in the referral model that I mentioned earlier, sometimes agencies can feel like they're being left out because they've referred a piece of business. And then in the resale model, sometimes software companies feel left out because they're not being really involved. In the co-sell model, both businesses are on the line. Both businesses are putting lots of effort in. One company might put in more effort than the other. It might depend on the deal size, but you're both working collaboratively to sell through that end customer. The last bit of kind of fluff before I get into some strategy and structure is, why are we even talking about co-selling? Well, co-selling with ecosystem partners estimated to be generating over $300 billion in revenue. So that was based on data from IDC. So a really big market. There's a huge slither of software that's being sold in this manner, and it's definitely a good time to get on board with it. So what I want everyone to think about first, as an agency, I've drawn my agency bubble in here. Think about your company as, and this is back to my jigsaw analogy that I did a minute ago, where are you able to add value to the internal functions that the software vendor that you're working with has? So that software vendor predominantly has a sales team, a partnerships team, a product team, a marketing team, customer success team. So how does your entire offering support every single component of that business that needs to improve? So I've added a couple of value statements in here as well. So thinking about your agency here, how can I help the customer success team? Well, a really simple value statement is, how can I help my SaaS partner reduce churn via increased product utilization? Really big thing that software companies have a lot. They sell a big list of products top to bottom, and a client uses 30% of them. How do I make sure that other 70% is utilized? Otherwise, it's likely they're going to churn. Another value statement in here, how can I make the product better? So, there might be gaps in a product offering that I don't have. They might have a limited amount of integrations that they've taken to market. So again, think about how your agency, SIs have done a great job here, where they're able to fill those integration gaps and support companies and their product streams. So think about your agency in those bubbles and everything will be okay. In terms of co-sell, I look at things in 4 different stages. I've preached about this a little bit, but there's 4 stages with every partner program. There's a scouting stage, there's a plant stage, there's a growth stage, and there's a harvest stage. We're being very agricultural here, so hopefully that helps. So when we're talking about a scouting stage, this is where you as an agency are hunting for new co-sell partnerships. I see too many companies overinvest into particular software vendors because they have a relationship there, or they've seen a few competitors do some business there and they get distracted. But really spend some time scouting the field and understanding who are the partners in the entire ecosystem that I'm in that I could be engaging in co-sell motions. Once you've done that, then you're moving into your planting stage. You're setting up those co-sell partnerships. You're signing partnership agreements. You're agreeing terms, and then you're really kind of committing to moving forward with a partnership. Then you grow that. Growth for me is all about enablement. It's about training, and that's not just training your SaaS vendor on what your service offering is, but you also want that SaaS vendor to enable your entire business about what they provide in the market. It's a co-enablement setup. And then finally, you've got the harvest stage, which is the most fun stage of any co-sell program, where you're generating revenue, you're generating business. Really, really basically, you're going to have lots of companies at the start in the scouting stage, and less in the plant stage, and then few in the growth stage, and the fewest are ever going to make it to that harvest stage. And that's fine. And the key thing is that you're managing your pipeline of partners in that way, and you're engaging those conversations. So I'm going to talk about each of those stages individually, give some action for each of those stages, talk about some questions that you should be asking to the SaaS vendor at those stages, and then also like a little tidbit that you can take away that might help. So at the scout stage, remember, this is you hunting for partners. So firstly, look at who your competitors are partnering with, like Adobe, Google Cloud, Salesforce, HubSpot. All these businesses have very open partner ecosystems that you can see exactly the Merkle work with them? Do Wunderman Thompson work with them? Do Accenture work with them? You can see all of that stuff, and you can see what tier they are, and then what kind of rankings they are. Also, look at your current account overlaps with potential partners. Yes, here's my first shameless plug of my business, and we'll kind of go on to that in a little bit. But which of these potential partners in my ecosystem do I have a good overlap of accounts with already that I could be talking to? And then finally, understand from a user's point of view, from an end customer's point of view, what do they think of the solutions in the market? So look at G2 scores, Forrester, Waves, Gartner, quadrants. I don't know if I've mixed that around, but you know what I mean. But you'll be able to really quickly identify, particularly from G2 scores, what users don't like about the solution. And then you can think about, when you approach a co-sell motion, can you help with those don't likes to reinforce and improve their product to help them win and retain more business? Top questions to ask the SaaS provider: do you have a co-sell program? And also, what percentage of your services are outsourced to services partners? This is going to help you quickly work out if the SaaS vendor has a mature enough co-sell program that's going to allow you to win business quickly. If someone's saying, look, we're just starting it, we're learning it, that's great, but just realize you might not actualize any revenue from that for a bit longer than someone who's already got a mature co-sell program in place. One of the favorite questions that I get asked a lot by agencies when I work software side was, what's the ratio of earnings for services against ARR? Is it, if you're selling a 100K deal, do I get 100K of services? Do I get 200K of services? Do I get 10K of services? Understand what that multiplier is so you can start to allocate out accordingly. And then also ask that vendor, what's the biggest impact that's affecting their growth today? Is it a particular competitor? Is it a product that's missing? This is, again, helping you shape your co-sell story in more detail. And then I've got a sort of main outcomes. After you've done your scouting stage, you're going to end up with like a list of potential partners who essentially you're going to start to co-sell against various different criteria. And the criteria I'm going to use is like the Insight Partners scorecard. So if Alex shares the slides around later, all of this has deep links to various sources. So you'll be able to have a look at this partner scorecard. But very quickly, here's the Reveal shameless plug. But when you are scouting, we offer, like any company that uses Reveal, a directory. And then once you push your data into Reveal, so this is your CRM data, a CSV of prospects that you're going after, you're going to be able to see across all of the companies that we work with, what's the overlap of your list of accounts that you're focused on versus the companies that we have on our database. So that's this bit here. But then also you're going to see, of all of the contacts that are in your CRM or in your list of data, how many of them are overlapping with the partners in the Reveal directory. So this gives you a high level view. Where can I focus my time? Who are the right partners for me to speak to? So from here, I might say, do you know what? I'm going to go and speak to Snowflake because they're in 64% of my accounts, and 39% of the people that I engage with are also working with them as well. In terms of like a methodology, this is the Insight Partners Partner Recruit Scorecard. I used this quite a lot in my last role at Quantimetrics to like score specific partners when I was engaging in conversations. But you've got loads of different questions which you can customize in here. You're filling this in on the fly, but what's the strategic fit of that potential partner? What are their market capabilities? Are they in the same verticals with me? Do they have any horizontal solution capabilities that overlap with me? My favorite thing, and like, Alex will attest to this as well massively, is what's the ease of doing business? Like, how easy is that partner to work with? That's such an undervalued thing a lot of the time. And I often refer to this as like willingness to partner. Like, how willing is that partner to partner with your business? So I used to turn all this data, fill it in by partner, and I used to turn it into this kind of bubble grid here. And I'd have value on the y-axis, like how much value could that partner have in my business? And then how willing is that partner to partner? And you're going to end up with some companies in the top right, just based on this very high level, partner A and partner B. There's a lot of value in me working with them and they seem interested in working with me. So I'm going to go and spend and invest time in building relationship, building a co-sell motion with those businesses. Cool. So that's the scouting stage. So once you've done that, you've got your list of partners that you like the look of. You've started to put them hopefully in a grid format so you can at least rationally understand who you're going to focus on. And now you're going to do the planting stage. So you're going to start to develop some commercial relationship with these potential co-sell partners. So first thing you want to do is understand like the benefits and requirements of becoming a partner. Some companies make this really forward facing. Amazon have this, again, Salesforce have this. Lots of the big software companies have this in the market. Then start to think about how much resource do I have to allocate to that partner to go through an enablement? Like, do I need to put 2 people through training, 10 people through training? Do I even have an available bench right now to put through training? It's a really critical thing to understand. At this stage as well, start to mock up what the co-sell offering could look like. What does my solution do that adds value? Like, you need to have it at a very early stage. Otherwise, you're investing resource blindly without realizing what the solution could be. And then get all your necessary partnership agreements in place. The majority of software vendors will already have these. They'll have NDAs, partner referral agreements, resale agreements, partnership terms, scopes of work. They tend to have these agreements already in place that you can just go send them over. My legal team will review them and I will sign them. Top questions to ask. Who are the gatekeepers in the business to co-sell opportunities? Is it a customer success manager? Is it an account executive? Is it an AM? Is it someone else in the business? How are those gatekeepers compensated? You need to understand how the individuals at that software company, what drives them? Is it closed on business? Is it retention? Is it growth of the, again, that's going to help you unpick that. And then finally, if you've been allocated a partner manager at that software company, what are your expectations of a successful partnership? What does good look like? If you've got a partner manager who's just saying to you, look, all I want you guys to do is send me loads of leads, but you're interested in co-sell opportunities, then you're not talking the same language and maybe it's not the right partnership to engage. So one tip in here, start to draw out some goals, like what logos do you want to win? How much revenue do you want to close? Who are the stakeholders you need to align with? Start to think about that already. And the outcomes from this plant stage you're going to have are signed NDAs with a bunch of partners and maybe some commercial agreements. You're going to have some resource planned for training and enablement. You're going to have a high level view of what your revenue potential could be from striking up this partnership. And then finally, a high level view of what your joint co-sell solution is that you're taking to the market. This is a really ugly screenshot I took of a book by Matt Bray, Partnership Principle, really good book that I recommend everyone reads. But this is his lean canvas methodology, which is like a really good partner on a plan page. So when you're building this co-sell offering, use this one page of view to help you shape that. So what's the problem my co-sell solution is solving? How does it solve it? What's the unique value proposition? I won't talk you through the rest of it. It's all pretty obvious, but this little one pager will really help you document why your co-sell solution is valuable and what it's going to do. And then just a final thing on the benefits and requirements, which I mentioned earlier. This is an example from the Adobe Solution Partner Program. You can see here like their list of requirements based on all the different partner tiers. So, you've got if you want to be a platinum partner of Adobe's, you have to pay $15,000 a year. If you have $15,000 to invest in a partnership, you also need to have Adobe revenue in multiple geographies. Their 4 geographies are EMEA, US, Japan, and APAC. So can you actually facilitate that at all? You need to have a minimum number of successful onboardings on Adobe to reach those requirements. So understand those requirement gates as you're looking at like, can I even get to that quickly or not? And then the flip side is the benefits. And again, the benefits here are cleared out by different partners. But you can see here, like you get different discounts on learning modules. I'd say like the benefits personally, when I look at Adobe, I think there could be improved. I think there could be more value back to the partner. I think there's a lot of requirements that the partner needs to do. And I think there needs to be kind of more benefits back. But I think, this gives you a little clear indication of how they're looking at benefits and requirements. And some companies will have this, some companies won't, but it's really good for you to understand. So that's the plant stage completed. We now go on to the growth stage. This is now we're starting to move this partnership forward and we're starting to enable each other's businesses around how we're going to go to market around this, what we're going to do. So actions to take are like understand how my team are progressing against my enablement timelines. So if I've got 10 people allocated to do 20 hours of training within 2 months, how are those people doing against those training timelines? Am I on them? Am I behind them? It's really good for you to understand. And then whilst that training is going on, start to like enable that SaaS provider, various different teams around the co-sell solution. So that training window, that enablement window in this point 1 gives you a timeline to start to softly sell your co-sell solution to internal stakeholders at that SaaS vendor. So use that time effectively, and then also work out if there's some quick win co-sell opportunities that you could be engaging in from the moment you reach your certification status with that partner, that moment you're ready to go and start doing business. And again, this is another, and I swear this is my final reveal, shameless plug. There will be no more after this. Top questions to ask a SaaS provider. Can I meet whoever the key stakeholder is, VP of Midwest Sales, VP of Customer Success, whoever it might be that you think is going to be really critical to your partnership? Can we get marketing resource to amplify the partnership on launch? You have no idea like the value of just having, a big glossy launch around, we've launched this co-sell solution in the marketplace. It's going to drive a load of initial interest from potential prospects and buyers of your co-sell solution. And then, can we complete an account mapping exercise? And a subsidiary point of that is, can I speak to person ABC on client XYZ because I want to start talking about this? And the big tip here is, even though in the growing stage you're enabling each other around the partnership about what it's going to be, you need to be actively thinking about sales opportunities at that earliest possible stage. You can jump on it as soon as it's across the line. So main outcomes, you're going to achieve partnership certification, you're going to have a co-sell solution in place, and then you're going to be identifying some co-sell opportunities. And this, again, like I said, the final reveal, the shameless plug, is where you would be going to identify those co-sell opportunities. You can be looking at your strategic, anything in here, purple is your data, anything in green is your partner data. But you'll be looking at who are my strategic accounts, IBM, Atria, Morgan Stanley, Delta Airlines, Levi Strauss, they're all my strat accounts. I've got some deals running with them at the moment, ranging from 7K up to 85K. And my partner is also working some deals there as well. Why don't I get Mike Davidson, the AE at the partner, to speak to Steve Watson on my side, who's running that deal at the moment? Why not have an initial conversation and start to think about how we can turn these two individual deals that we're running individually into a concurrent co-sell solution if we think that co-sell solution is greater than the individual solutions being sold alone. And then from there as well, you're going to be able to uncover who are critical contacts that you can learn about. In this particular opportunity with GE, I can see Philip is speaking to the head of sales. That might be a really critical persona for me to speak to. So why don't I get Steve Watson, Philip on a call, and let's see if we can ring fence this head of sales and take this co-sell solution to him directly. So that's the stages that you're going to go through from that growth stage. Start to think about co-sell opportunities before you're even live and running, because that's going to make it a lot easier. Final piece, I'm running out of breath. Final piece is the harvest stage, the fun stage. You're picking the fruit from the tree. You're making money, you're making revenue, you're generating interest, you're generating excitement. So actions, start meeting all of the key stakeholders across your co-sell opportunities, build your co-sell plans. Are we going to do a joint demo? And then are we going to do a joint discovery call first? What are the stages that you're going to go through to take a client from learning about your co-sell solution to actually buying it and implementing it and running it and getting it going? Map that out end to end. Close plans are the biggest thing in sales. Create external and internal materials around your partnership. Cannot hide how valuable that is. Partners end customers and prospects love glossy materials. It gives confidence and it gives truth behind what you're selling in the market. And then fourthly, say yes. It's a hard thing to do all the time, but the hardest thing in a partnership is moving from 0 sales to 1 sale. So just say yes, get that first one through the door. It might be a really small opportunity down here, like this 8K deal with some microsystems that you don't really care about too much. But if you can get that as a co-sell motion and get it across the line, just say yes. You've got a proof point and you've got something that you can take to market. So top questions that you want to ask your SaaS provider, your SaaS partner at this stage. When can we have our first QBR? Who's going to be in that QBR? Because I want to ensure that we're both working concurrently towards making both of our businesses successful. What regular meetings can I jump into? I mean internal meetings here. So are you doing an office hours? Is there a demo jam I can jump into? Is there an internal drinks? Is there a big meetup? What is it? Can I expose more people from my company to as many of your things that you're doing as possible? So we just create as much natural collaboration as possible. And then thirdly, finally, what's your upcoming marketing calendar? Are you at Dreamforce? Are you at Adobe Summit? Are you at Shop Talk Europe? What events are you at? I can send some of my team there. Let's maybe co-sponsor a stand. Let's do something. Let's make a big splash, big announcement. Start to really co-market your business with them so you can drive more co-sell strategy. So just a final tip in here, spin up lots of glossy materials around the partnership because it just adds credibility and truth to the co-sell solution that you're driving. And finally, the main outcomes that you're going to have here is you're going to have engaged with and hopefully won your first few co-sell opportunities. And then you've produced some sales collateral that you can take to market. A few more slides to go through, but this is a nice little flow of how you think about co-sell opportunities. You build a solution, you catalog the solution, you work on some joint account plans and some co-marketing, and those turn into referrals and leads that you as a business work together. And then you have these underlying functions underneath that really support that go-to-market activity that you're doing. So it might be NDS, so the SaaS provider might give you some money that you can go and use to do some co-marketing. They might give you some sales campaign funds. Lots of cloud businesses are giving like service credits or like cloud credits for compute and storage so that you can save a bit of money there as well. There's lots of these like underlying layers that can feed this co-sell machine on the top. And in terms of like co-sell materials, even if you don't have like a joint case study straight away, you can still build something quite loose and rough. So this is a Wunderman Thompson MAP. So MAP is their marketing automation and personalization practice. They work with Adobe, Salesforce, Brave to do marketing automation. And this is them working with AEP. So that's Adobe Experience Platform, their TDP and marketing automation capabilities. And yes, they've got MasterCard in here as a logo, but this isn't a MasterCard case study. But this is just Wunderman Thompson MAP talking about how they can actualize the software that Adobe Experience Platform has. And AEP is an incredibly big and complicated solution for a lot of vendors, for a lot of end customers to kind of buy, run, implement, and get the full value out of. So Wunderman have created this really nice, simple one-pager where they say, look, for a particular finance brand, Emma buys health and beauty products with her card. Within 2 months, she's earned enough points to level up. She receives a push notification telling her that she's been upgraded to a reward card using transactional data. And Wunderman Thompson put in that transactional data, align it to AEP and deliver that use case. Secondly, Emma hasn't engaged with a push notification and she only used her card to purchase beauty products and clothing. She receives an email asking her to select her preferred categories, and this is around channel propensity. Again, using Wunderman Thompson channel propensity data, feeding that into Adobe to fuel that personalized marketing experience. So you can create these glossy materials without having that case study in place just yet, because you're turning your co-sell solution into use cases that different brands, and then you can verticalize these as you see here, that different brands can understand. How to drive a successful co-sell partnership. Just a few notes on this. I grabbed this from the Microsoft community page, hence why it's so blurry and awfully low resolution. But there's a lot of things in here, but I'm just kind of breaking it down into 3 points. If you want a successful co-sell motion, firstly, have that clearly defined value proposition and clarity on that target audience. That's critical. That partner on a page thing that I screenshotted from Matt Bray's book, like identify your problem, come up with your solution, who's your consumer target market, really drill into that, and that's going to fuel whether your co-sell strategy is successful or not. Have real key alignment on goals and having good seller relationships. I forgot where I mentioned it in these slides, but understand the KPIs of the people that you're engaging with, because that's ultimately going to fuel how much they help you, and they need to understand your goals and KPIs because that's going to fuel how much you help them. So be really clear around incentives and goals and all that sort of stuff. And then thirdly and finally, and this is back to my Wunderman Thompson MAP example that I had just done, is have some sales ready materials ready to go, ready to use, ready to talk about, to really empathize, to drive that forward. Before I get on to summarizing everything we've covered today, just a few watch outs to everyone who's engaging in co-sell motions, both from an agency side and a tech partner side. Be wary of 3 things. Firstly, channel conflict. Partnerships require huge amounts of transparency and trust, and it doesn't always happen that way, even though we try to drive partnerships with trust and integrity in all cases. So just ensure that when you're working on a co-sell opportunity with a partner, you have that exclusively. I am exclusively working on that co-sell opportunity with you, and I have your permission to run that opportunity with you, because I've heard a lot of instances where agencies take an opportunity to a co-sell opportunity to a partner, and they might drive that with another agency entirely, and that's not the way of doing business. So really get a transparent relationship in place. I mentioned this at the start, but co-sell doesn't always equal win-win-win. So, the end customer might select your services, but not the partner software, and vice versa. That's fine. Just be aware of it and understand that might happen. And then finally, Pareto efficiency, the 80-20 rule of 20% of my partners are going to do 80% of my volume. It's probably even less. Like, it's more like 5 to 10% of your partners are going to do 90 to 95% of your revenue. And just be aware of that. You're going to set up a bunch of partnerships. Some are going to pass, some are going to fail. And just make sure when they're failing, you're pivoting, trying something new, or just winning time back entirely. And then, sorry, Alex, I'm at time. Should I finish there?
No, you're good, man. Keep going. I'll end with some action items when you're finished here, and then open it up if anyone does have any questions. But go ahead, finish up.
No, I think that's fine. I think I've covered everything, and that's it's just a little summary slide, so all good there.